Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a really specific blueprint for spiritual development. It's a model that maps out a whole journey of personal growth, and it comes from the Come and See Christianity curriculum. We're going to focus on what it calls the spiritual leader.
You know, we hear it all the time, right? Life is a journey. We all start somewhere, we learn, we grow. But how do you actually measure progress on that journey? Well, today we're exploring one very particular map that tries to do just that.
All right, here's our game plan. First, we'll look at the overall blueprint for growth. Then, we'll break down the 5 spiritual stages. After that, we're going to zero in on defining the leader, cover its core pillars, and finally, wrap up with what this whole model really means.
So, what's the big idea here? This isn't just some casual guide. It's actually a pretty ambitious framework that aims to categorize, well, every single person on Earth based on where they're at spiritually. Let's see how they do it.
So the starting point is this. For any worldview to be credible, it has to offer a big-picture explanation for the human condition. It needs a system that can account for everyone, everywhere, from the moment they're born till the very end. That's the challenge this model sets out to tackle.
Okay, so now let's actually look at the map itself. This whole framework is built on 5 distinct stages of spiritual growth. At the heart of it all are what they call the 5 disciples. The source suggests that every person fits into one of these categories. You've got the lost, who aren't even aware of the path, the lovers, who are brand new to it, learners, who are busy soaking up knowledge, leaders, who start guiding others, and lifers, who fully embody the whole journey. And this diagram just illustrates that journey perfectly. You can see the progression clear as day, moving from left to right. It kicks off with the person on the far left, representing the lost, and then moves step by step through the stages of spiritual development, heading towards what the model calls a lifer.
Okay, with that context in place, let's zoom in on stage 4, because that's the focus of our explainer today. After those initial phases of growth, we arrive at the leader.
In the diagram, you can see the leader comes right after what they call spiritual infancy, the lover, and spiritual adolescence, the learner. So this stage really represents a big step into spiritual adulthood.
Okay, that is a mouthful, right? Let's unpack that. The key words are stable and spiritual adult. But the real heart of it is this idea of multiplying fruit. That basically means their positive impact is so real that it helps other people grow in the same way. It's all about tangible, outward influence.
So, to make this whole concept of a spiritual adult a little more concrete and easier to grasp, the curriculum organizes the characteristics of a leader into 3 distinct pillars.
These are the 3 legs of the stool: validation, maturation, and dedication. Validation is basically about walking the talk. Maturation is about a huge shift in perspective. And dedication, that's about perseverance. Together, they form the foundation of this whole leadership stage.
So that first pillar, validation, it's all about authenticity. And that quote just nails it, doesn't it? Don't unsay with your lives what you say with your tongues. In this model, true qualification isn't your resume. It's about whether your actions consistently line up with your beliefs.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting, because this idea completely reframes what we think of as leadership. The source makes it clear that in this framework, leaders are meant to be under people, serving them, not over them in a position of authority. The number 1 trait is humility, not power.
Pillar number 2, maturation, marks a huge turning point. A learner is mostly focused on taking in knowledge for their own growth, filling up their own cup. A leader, however, shifts their focus completely outward. Their main drive becomes helping others grow. That's that multiplying effect we were talking about.
And these 2 diagrams from the curriculum really help you see what this maturity looks like. In one, you can see the leader's path is no longer just pointing up, it's pointing sideways, symbolizing them pouring out to help others. The other diagram shows the integration of content, culture, and conflict, all the pieces of a well-rounded disciple.
So, the crucial point is captured beautifully in this quote. This mature stage isn't just about knowing stuff, it's about living it out. A leader in this model embodies the path so authentically that they can, in turn, guide others along it.
And that brings us to the final pillar, dedication. This is all about a deep, unwavering commitment to serve, even when it's tough, even when it requires sacrifice. It's a passion that's steadfast and doesn't just fizzle out when things get hard. And this quote gets right to the heart of that. According to this model, real leadership isn't something you get from a title or a position. It's fueled by an internal passion, a drive to fulfill a vision, whether you get any external recognition or not.
So we've covered the definition and the 3 pillars. Now let's just zoom out and look at the big picture takeaway from all this.
Look, if there's one thing to take away from this explainer, it's this. In this specific framework, leadership is not a job title. It's a stage of personal development that you reach. It's not measured by your influence or authority, but by your inner character, your outward focus on serving others, and a deep-seated humility.
This final quote from the source material leaves us with a really powerful image, doesn't it? To lead an orchestra, the conductor has to literally turn their back on the audience. Their focus isn't on the applause, it's on the music, on the mission.
And that brings us to a final question to think about. Whether you're looking at the spiritual model or at leadership in business or politics or even in your own family, this idea really holds up. It forces us to ask, what distractions, what expectations, what popular opinions must we turn away from in order to truly lead?